let's talk about Hans Gaal, the composer who will be featured in this concert on the 26th of September. Hans Gaal was also a very established musician in Germany, and as director of the Mainz Conservatoire, and had operas in the repertory, and was really highly respected also by figures of German musical life. And when he came over here, he found himself, like most of the emigrated musicians, and indeed all emigrated Germans and Austrians, interned in 1940 in the first in different camps, but mostly on the Isle of Man. And the piece that will be the main focus of this concert will be the revue. Thank you. The revue "What a Life," which was written under quite crazy circumstances, we could say nowadays, in this internment camp, but also reflects very strongly the importance of music in the life of this community. Could you say a bit more about Gaal as a composer, please?
Well, first of all, Gaal's early life in Vienna was as a kind of established musician, and I think he was a disciple of Mandichevsky. I know Mandichevsky was responsible for editing the complete works of Brahms after his death, and Gaal was also involved in that. So he was very strongly, as most Austrian musicians were, steeped in this great tradition, which some people would say came to an end with the First World War, but in a sense, Gaal was a strong continuation of that, continued to plough that particular language. And then, of course, he was one of his closest sort of allies in this country was the famous professor of music at Edinburgh University, Sir Donald Francis Tovey, who, when the Anschluss came, when the Austrians succumbed to Nazi invasion, and those who were racially or politically unacceptable were forced out or dragged into concentration camps, he was lucky enough to have that connection with Tovey and was invited to Edinburgh. And that was a kind of saved his life. And then I think, of course, the big shock came with the declaration of war and the policy. I think it was coined by Churchill, no less, collar the lot, which was to actually round up all Germans, irrespective of where they come from, and intern them, because they were worried about the. It was partly, I think, a response to the astonishing success of at the early stages of the war, when Hitler basically just went through the Western countries, the countries west of Germany, went through to the Netherlands and France, and all those countries fell almost like a pack of cards. And I think there was a fear that there might be some kind of subversion from Germans living in England. So there was this policy, a rather brutal policy, of just getting rid of all German-speaking people and putting them on an island, effectively. But what's so astonishing about this, and there's a sort of parallel with what actually happened in Theresienstadt, the model, I use that word advisedly, concentration camp that set up in Czechoslovakia by the Nazis, where there was a lot of cultural activity. I suppose when you put all these very highly educated people together, there's a necessity, again, this lifeblood of having to make music together. And this idea of creating a revue was born out of this circumstance, with all these amazing people together, because the librettist for this revue was Otto Erich Deutsch, who was a very erudite scholar. He wrote some of the most highly rated books on Mozart and Schubert at that time. Mm-hmm.
Das Doppelbett hat ein Tischler gemacht, der hat sich dabei was ganz anderes gedacht, denn dass zwei Männer hier drinnen liegen, I'm sorry, davon hat keine Vergnügen.